We're here with John King and Lonnie Roberts, the driver of the number 81 old school late model, and Mr. King, the new tech guy out at Needmore. First off, Mr. King, how do you like your new rollout at Needmore?
I like it fine. It's real interesting. It's kind of trying at times. It's busy, but it's fun.
And Mr. Roberts, what do you think of the new old school style cars that are coming out to Needmore?
Well, this is the kind of cars that we drove when I first got into racing. And then they went away from this. But this is what I started with.
It is? All right. And when did you start building this car?
We bought it, I don't know, probably 3 weeks ago. And it was already a late model car. I bought it from Toby Justice in Waycross. He had a new body and all on it. We stripped the body off of it and took the rear deck off of it. And in 3 days, we had us an old school wedge car.
And you had it out at the last Needmore race, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you think about it?
Oh, I loved it. We had a little push in it, but we'll work that out of it.
Was it just like driving from the old days?
No, these cars work a little better this day and time than what they did back in the 80s. So that's why I say we had a push. I put the old setup on it and it pushed. So we got to work on it, tweak it a little bit.
All right, and Mr. King, tell me a little bit about the rules for this series.
The engine rule in this class is based on a 602 crate engine. It's going to have a $3,500 claimer on it. So it doesn't have to be a sealed crate engine, but you need to sell it for $3,500 if somebody claims it. Everything's based on a 602. It's the body. The whole idea of this class is that the guy can do his body on his own. Everything is flat. You know, you really don't need a brake. You just don't have, you know, if you don't want one, you can do just flat sides. We took the $600 nose off the front of it. You can make your own nose probably for $100 versus $600 for a late model. The engine at $3,500. The idea of this class is to make a class that's very competitive, that's really neat and really cool, and as cheap as anything on the racetrack to race and to put on the racetrack. We're going to have a tire rover to control the tires. We think it's going to be one of the faster growing classes, probably might wind up the biggest class. And I think it'll make for the most competitive racing on the racetrack. When Lonnie drove this thing Saturday, he said that it didn't drive like the old days. And I'm going to differ with him a little bit. I mean, he was dumping the thing off in the turn so far, I said my heart was stopping. And Keith Stith was sitting there with me. We were just laughing at one another because he could go off in there so far. He did have a push in 2, but when he went off in 3, he made whatever he lost in that push back off, because when they would let off the gas on the brakes, he's still coming in. So it was really cool to watch them race.
And do you have any other people that are coming into this old school series that you know of building cars right now?
Yes, we do. We have several. I think I could probably count up a good solid 8 that are being built now. Cooley Hobbies has one that should be almost ready. Slider Guthrie's had one done. Johnny Langdale or Lee Newsom's having one done, I think. And my mind's going blank now. I've counted up a good solid 8, probably maybe 10. Pug Bridges has one he's doing.
Kelly and them talking about doing one. Kelly Walker.
They're talking about it. There's a lot of people talking. If we get some out, we have another one actually runs. Bum Nelson has one. He's ran several times.
Scott Cruz is talking about.
Scott Cruz is. There's several people talking. It's going to be an exciting class. It'll be really something to see.
And right now they're going to run the limited late model series, right? And the limited late model division.
We're going to run them in with the limiteds. Try to get the rules a little bit equal, probably because of the 602 crate. We don't put as much weight on these as the limiteds. We try to make it where they stay even. But as soon as we get enough of these, we'll break them out into their own class and they'll race by themselves.
Okay. And Mr. Roberts, as a race car driver, Do you see a significant difference in the cost for an old school as compared to, say, a regular late model?
Well, the old school's a lot cheaper as far as the motor goes. I mean, because you can get on the internet and buy these 602s for $1,500 to $1,700. And that's where I got mine from, off the internet. Instead of buying a $20,000 motor, you know, you go on the internet and buy a $1,500, $1,700 motor and be racing in just a little while.
And would you say it's easier to drive or about the same as a regular late model?
With the horsepower not being the same, it's a little easier to drive.
And who's done most of your work besides you on this car?
Chris Davis has wore himself out. He's a good friend of mine, and he wore himself out. He was wore ragged.
And who's done the body work for you?
Me and Rance Phillips bent the body and all on it, and me and Chris put it on.
All right. And Mr. King, when do you think that maybe the series will start having enough cars out at Needmore that they'll start their own division? How long do you think it'll take?
I'm hoping maybe before we quit racing this year. There's a good chance of that, but certainly by the beginning of the next year's season.
Mr. King, tell us a little bit about Needmore's support for the old school series.
Needmore Speedway is behind these cars 150%. We see an opportunity here. Dan feels real strong about this. You know, anytime you can make a class that's really competitive and affordable to race, we just feel like, and I do, and Dan and Keith feel like that it'll really draw some people in, and the more they see it, the more they become, the larger this class will grow. We have a set of rules here. It's got basic body dimensions we're going to go by. We got a claimer on the shocks of $500 for all four. These cars have to run on pump gas. We're going to have a way to make sure that nobody's buying the $12 a gallon gas to put in these crate engines. We're going to make this an affordable class, and we want to make it a growing class. And most of all, we want to make it competitive and entertaining for the fans. We're just so strong behind these cars, just believe in them so much, that we're going to see to it that these things take off like they should.
And are there any other special events coming up for Needmore?
Thanksgiving, you'll be able to come to the track Thanksgiving night and practice. Then it will have a Friday, Saturday show. It'll be a $10,000 to win. And our late models, not super late models, but the late models that we run every week, we're going to look after the guys that have looked after us and raced with us. We're going to pay a $10,000 to win race there. It's going to be a big event. There should be flyers coming out on that very soon. It's going to be an exciting race, and just going to be so excited about the fall season. You know, the fall is when things really kind of get going, and we're going to have a good one.
All right. And Mr. Roberts, tell me what it is you like so much about driving the race car. What is it that keeps you coming back week after week?
The adrenaline rush. I don't drink, smoke, party, or do any of that stuff, and I get my adrenaline rush with these race cars.
And do you see big things happening with this series?
I do.
You think the fans are going to like it a lot?
I think the fans are going to like it, yeah. There's something different. You know, they've gotten used to seeing the cars the way they look now, and now we're bringing in something, or they're bringing in something that looks a little different, looks a little spacey, and I just enjoy driving the thing.